Artober Learning Labs!
On today's Artober Learning Labs, we are featuring the Tennessee State Library and Archives. We will discover the art of history making through scrapbooking.
Hi everyone, I'm Casey Jimrick. I'm the Education Outreach Archivist at the Tennessee State Library and Archives. And what that means is in a normal school year, I'm traveling all across the state, teaching your teachers actually, and showing them all sorts of fun historical documents and Tennessee stories to share with you. And if you ever come see us for a field trip, I'm usually the one hanging out with you and showing you all sorts of fun stuff around our building. But I've got a partner with me today, and I'm going to go ahead and let her introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Kate Greensmith. I'm the Youth Services and Special Projects Coordinator at the State Library and Archives. That means that I get to work with public libraries to plan their summer reading programs and any other programs that work with youth across the state. So I say that I have the most fun job in the state. I get to help libraries plan fun things for patrons and kids.
Which fits in real well because we're going to talk a little bit about who we are as well. Like Kate mentioned, we are the Tennessee State Library and Archives. You all have probably been to a library before where you can check out all sorts of really good books, really fun things. We've got lots of books with us in our library as well. Not only history books, but books about Tennessee. We've got fiction books written by Tennessee authors. So we've got lots of really great books in our library. But we're also an archive, which you may not have heard about before, but essentially an archive is a place where we protect, preserve, and collect historical documents. So that's things like diaries, letters, photographs, maps. We keep these things safe, and we allow patrons like you, anyone from the public can come in and do historical research on any fun historical topic that they want to, or they can come in and do their genealogy. Genealogy is essentially doing your own family history. So you're going to try to figure out who your great-great-great-grandmother was, and you could come to us and we can help you do that. You may not come see the building that you're looking at on your screen. This building was made in 1952, so it's pretty old. It's located next to the state capitol. But next year, in 2021, we are getting a brand new building next to the Sound Stadium in downtown Nashville, next to Bicentennial Park. So we're really excited for that to open up. So hopefully you can come see us in that brand new building. But for today, we're going to share some of the online resources we have for you. And we've got some fun ideas that you can do at home. So you're going to hang out with the Tennessee State Library and Archives. And we're going to look into some more family history through the art of scrapbooking. I love scrapbooking because it's a great way to marry both art and history. I kind of think of it as the art of history making. Essentially, scrapbooks are ways that you keep physical documents usually, or physical items. So that can be anything like a photograph, a newspaper, it could be a letter, it could be a note, it can be nearly anything you want. Anything that you hold dear and you want to keep and make a memory of to go back and look at in the future or share with your friends and family. All you have to do is keep it in some type of material. You know, usually it's a book. You might glue it or tape it, staple it all to a piece of paper. And then you have that scrapbook for forever, and you can share it with anyone you want. People have been scrapbooking since the late 1700s. It's really popular. It's a really fun thing to do. All sorts of people have done it, including Amelia Earhart, the famous aviator from the 1900s. You can see here on the left, she kept all sorts of newspapers and photographs about all of her different historic flights. And now they're kept online at Purdue University. So you can check that out and go through all of her memories and figure out exactly what was important to her. You can also look at Mark Twain, the famous author. You might have read The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn. That's one of his famous books. And he kept a scrapbook too. So again, it's the same thing. Things that were important to him that he wanted remembered, he got to do this in a very artistic, creative way. It's a really good way, if you like art and you like history, it's a good thing to get together. And so today, we're going to share one of our favorite scrapbook collections with you from the Tennessee State Library and Archives. And so we're actually going to look at a Tennessean scrapbook. This is a man named William Henry Fort Jr., and he was a Fisk University student from 1926 to 1930. And his family gave us this scrapbook along with other papers in his collection. And so now we get to share William Henry Fort's story with all of you, which is really exciting and fun to see. If you guys want to see the full version of the scrapbook, definitely click on this URL, go check it out. It's our online virtual archive where we have all sorts of historical documents digitized, transcribed, ready for you to check out. If you haven't heard of Fisk University, it's actually here in Nashville. It was established on January 9th, 1866, so it's pretty old. It was created right after the Civil War for the purpose of educating formerly enslaved individuals. Because after the Civil War, slavery is no longer legal in our country, and we have a bunch of enslaved individuals, and we want to educate them and provide an opportunity for them. So that's where Fisk University comes into play, and it was originally called the Fisk Free Colored School. In 1871, and you're going to hear a little bit more about this building right here, Jubilee Hall, is named after a group of singers that are formed in 1871. Called the Fisk Jubilee Singers. And Miss Kate is going to tell us a little bit about them further on in our presentation, but that's just a little spoiler there to know that there's really fantastic, famous group of singers is coming right here from Nashville. There's a ton of really famous people who have come out of Fisk University as students, including W.E.B. Du Bois, Booker T. Washington, one of my favorites, Ida B. Wells Barnett. All of them are coming from this amazing university. And so today, Fisk University is not only a leader in Black education with historically Black colleges and universities, but also a major leader in Tennessee higher education in general. So we're really excited to have this scrapbook because we get an in-depth look into one of the students from nearly almost 100 years ago. So it's really cool to see, we can compare his experiences in 1926 to someone from today. And they could both do it through scrapbooking. This is the first page of William Henry Fort's scrapbook. You can see here, it has, if you zoom in, we've got both his name, the date, and where this scrapbook is taking place. Those are all really great things to know when you're creating some type of historical memory, right? Those are usually the first things to go. We may not remember where we were or what year it was or who we were with, but if we write those things down, we have that solidified. We know exactly what's happening. And so that's how we know that this is William Henry Fort's scrapbook from 1926. One of my favorite things about his scrapbook that's going to show up in all sorts of different scrapbooks is the process of drawing. So you don't have to only do photographs. There's all sorts of ways to make this your own artistic creation. You can see here, we've got a fun little drawing that I'm assuming is William Henry Fort. We don't know if this is a self-portrait, maybe something he did himself. We don't know if one of his friends drew it. But what we do know is that this drawing is very, very specific, right? They got to choose how they wanted to be identified. They chose the pants, the shirt, the bow tie. All of this is supposed to represent how they feel about themselves or how other people see William Henry Fort. And this is exactly how he wants to be remembered for that time. The same thing is said about this drawing in the middle here. It is a fraternity symbol. So we can kind of guess from this that Henry Fort was probably part of this specific fraternity. Not only that, it's right in the center of the page and it's pretty big, which means to me that this was something that was really, really important to him. And he wanted that memory. You know, this is probably something he would look back on and he sees this drawing and that immediately draws his attention and his memory onto his fraternity, the people he might have known, the fun things they did, all sorts of things. And that's why he put it front and center on that scrapbook. Also in the scrapbook, we've talked a lot about how scrapbooks are great for memory keeping, right? They can be a physical memento of your memory, but also you can use them for future things. You can use them for goal setting, and this is a great example of it. You can see here on this book, it says Mathematics by William H. Fort, PhD. Well, now that we know a little bit more about William Henry, we know that he was studying mathematics. That was his major. So when I see this, I'm seeing, oh, he maybe wants to go for a PhD. He wants to know more about mathematics. And that's exactly what he ends up doing. He ends up becoming a teacher and an educator in mathematics. So it's really cool to see that he made this goal, he stuck to it. He even has a really great quote here that says, "Keep on, Billy, and fight hard." So it's a very encouraging spot as well. So you've got history, the future, and a scrapbook art all in one page. Also, we've seen here, you guys have probably seen this earlier in the slides, this is Jubilee Hall. Again, this is a huge building on campus. It's definitely part of the center of campus. It's part of what Fisk University is all about. And it's something that William Henry probably saw every day. So that's something that he's gonna wanna remember and wanna focus on. And now we get to see it through his eyes, right? We got to see it earlier in the slideshow, but now we get to see it through William Henry Fort's eyes. Another thing that is included in the scrapbooks, which I absolutely love, is this little, almost like a joke image over here. You can see that there are two people, a couple, standing on a Goodyear tire with little hearts all around them. And it says down here, "I know I'll never tire of you," which is a little hokey, I agree. But what I like about it is that this, what I assume is a sticker, to me that kind of looks like a modern day meme. And that's something you can include in a scrapbook too. You know, your favorite jokes, your favorite riddles, your favorite images or stickers, these all get to be included because that's something that's important to you right now. Another great thing about scrapbooks, and this is probably something, if you've ever seen a traditional scrapbook, this is the first thing that's gonna come to mind, but pictures, photographs, those are definitely something, you know, if you've seen a wedding album, maybe of your parents or your grandparents, filled with photos, and photos are such a great memory tool. What I also love about photos, especially from William Henry Fort, is that he's got all sorts of different people here, right? He's got groups of women, groups of men and women together, and they're all posed in different ways. You know, we've got girls over here with hands on their hips, we've got guys over here kind of joking around, and what's important to know about that is just like when you're doing a self-portrait, you get to decide how you are remembered and how you are identified, right? This is your way to speak out to the world about this is who I am and this is how I want to be remembered. They were doing the same thing in 1926. And now we get to see these personalities of these groups come out in these photos. And this is how, not only how they wanted to be remembered, but also how William Henry Fort remembered his friends, which is really cool to do. The last little bit in William Henry Fort's scrapbook, and one that you could include in a scrapbook, are things that aren't pictures. So things like newspaper articles, posters. One of my favorite things to put into a scrapbook or to remember are movie tickets, because I always love to know exactly when I saw Avengers Endgame, what was I doing? And having that physical memory is gonna jog that memory back to that night when I saw that movie. The same thing is happening at William Henry Fort, and he's doing it not just about, you know, oh, I went to a play or someone wrote me a letter. He's also doing it about major events that are taking place in his life. During the time he was in school, the Cumberland River, which is the major river that goes through Nashville, it flooded. And so you can imagine if that's gonna happen in your lifetime, it's gonna be a pretty big deal. And so we get to see how William Henry Fort documented that event, how it impacted him, and how he's gonna remember it. And that shows us who he is. And we can do that today. There's all sorts of events happening in the world around us that we can kind of preserve in the way that we want to preserve them. And that's the best thing about scrapbooking. It's artistic, it's historic, but it's more an expression of who you are. And it's a great way to do that, and it's fun. If you haven't seen a historic scrapbook like we've seen with William Henry Ford's, you might have seen a modern day example. For example, your parents might have kept a baby book of you or one of your siblings. And so in this baby book, you might have your footprints from when you were born. You might have the hospital bracelet that they put on you when you were born. Photos, of course, the very first photo of you ever taken. Maybe when you got your hair cut for the first time, maybe your parents kept a lock of hair, which has been popular, weirdly enough, has been popular for many, many, many years. But that's an example of a scrapbook. It's preserving a memory the way you want it preserved, which could also be TikTok or Instagram stories. It's the same thing, right? Say you want to make a TikTok of your entire day and you want to share it with all of your friends and show them what you're doing. So you might show them what you had for breakfast, what you wore to school, how you got to school, what you did when you were at school, what happened after school. Did you go to soccer practice? Did you go to band practice? What did you have for dinner? What did you after dinner? All these things and all of these TikToks are definitely versions of scrapbooks. So we're really excited to get to explore these ideas of scrapbooking, and how we can meld this history and art into one fantastic, fun product that we get to keep forever. And I'm actually gonna let Kate tell us a little bit more about that. But before we jump back into our scrapbook activities, we're gonna look at some more about Fisk University, and specifically the Fisk Jubilee Singers, after which that building we've been checking out is named for. So with that, I'm gonna give it to Kate.
So much, Casey. All right, I'm going to share with y'all a book that is called A Band of Angels, and it is by Deborah Hopkinson. It's also illustrated by Raul Colon. So this is a book that's inspired by the story of the Jubilee Singers. In it, and I'm going to flip through pages a little bit so you can see. In it, a young girl here is listening to her Aunt Beth tell the story of this young girl's great-great-grandmother, Ella. Ella was a freed slave who paid her way to attend Fisk School and became one of the Jubilee Singers. Here's a picture of her. The Jubilee Singers were a talented group of young Fisk students who rescued the school from financial ruin back in the early days of the school. They toured the country singing spiritual songs, which were also called Jubilee songs. That's because the word Jubilee means a time of hope and freedom. So the Jubilee Singers eventually sang at the White House for President Grant, and they even traveled to England to sing for the Queen of England, Queen Victoria. They ended up raising enough money on their tour to save the school, and that eventually is what became Fisk University here in Nashville. It's still open today, and they still have Jubilee singers who travel the world singing. So throughout this book, this young girl imagines her great-great-grandmother's journeys, and the illustrator, Raul Colon, depicts the events as if they were kind of in a collection of pictures in a scrapbook. So this is based on the real Jubilee singer named Ella Shepherd Moore. There's a picture of the little girl. Here's Ella Shepherd Moore. She was one of the Jubilee singers, and she also played the piano as they toured around the country. Her great-great-granddaughter is Beth Madison House. She's the Aunt Beth in this story. She graduated from Fisk University and ended up being a librarian there for more than 40 years. Beth House ended up being awarded the Storyteller of the Year in 2013 by HBCU Story. It's an organization. It advocates for preserving and presenting and promoting inspiring stories of historically Black colleges and universities. So you can see here on these end pages of the book the illustrations of 1871 Jubilee singers, including our friend Ella Shepherd, and it looks like they're in a scrapbook. I liked that beside each one of the singers' names, It has a little bit of information about each one of them, like you would include in a scrapbook. So you can even go to Google and listen to some of the songs that the Jubilee singers recorded, as well as find some of the albums by the current Jubilee singers. So since we have looked at some of the things that the Jubilee singers have done and enjoyed this great book, we're also going to talk about what we can do to scrapbook. So now we want to talk about ways that you can create your own scrapbook, and you can do this very simply. So some of the things that you can use, you've got around the house already. So I'm going to show you 3 different ways to make a very easy scrapbook. First thing, printer paper. Just about everybody's got a blank piece of paper around their house. All you need to do is fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. Then take a pair of scissors, and you're going to cut along the top of the folded page side on both pages. And now you automatically have a little 8-page booklet. So you can do that several times over. So you've got as many pages as you want. So I've got 3 different pages here that I've turned into a little booklet. And now you're able to do something easy like just staple it together to make for a handy little book that you can then go in and use markers or just a good black pen and pictures and write about you, write about your story and your family. That's a real simple way to create just a little bitty scrapbook that you can put in all kinds of things, where either you draw pictures or you write about what you're interested in, or you can add photographs and other things if you'd like. So that's the easiest way to make a little scrapbook. The next thing you can do is you can use envelopes. So you can just take a plain white envelope. Let me see that it's just a boring plain old envelope. And you can cut off the flap, the pointy triangle on the top. You just cut it off. And you can add it and other envelopes. So I've already done this with a couple of other envelopes. You can put those together. You can again staple these, or you can use a hole punch and punch a hole in there. And then you can connect it later with a string or with a ribbon that you find around the house. And then when you go inside your little book, you can write things on the inside of it, and you have a little envelope that you can tuck stuff into. So you can tell a story about some of the things you might do when you're having fun, and add little pieces of information about your event that you're going and doing into that. And then you can just decorate the outside of your little envelope scrapbook. You can also take a handy dandy paper bag like you might bring your lunch to school in. And you'll take this handy dandy paper bag, and you're just going to take it and fold it in half. And then you can add it to other paper bags. I've got 3 here together. And I don't know if you can see, but I punched holes in the edges there. And you can take a string and run it through and connect all of your pages. If you don't have string lying around the house, you can get a twist tie and use that to connect your pages. And you just make a little twist in there. You can even make this into a loop up at the top, and you could connect other little things with your loop that you've made. Then you can go in and you can decorate your pages, and you have got neat little envelopes to add things into that you found on a nature walk, or if you've got something special that you've saved that a friend drew a picture for you, or you've got a letter from someone that you care about that you want to hold on to. You can decorate the outside and the inside pages and then stick those fun little things you've got into the pockets as you prefer. So you can make fun little scrapbooks like that. You can make big scrapbook pages where you can use things that are called ephemera. So this is from a trip I went on with my family. We went to a place that had a big map. And so I cut the map in half and I added the tickets from when we went. And I even saved the receipt so I can see how much it cost. And we've got pictures of inside the place that we visited. So you can make big scrapbook pages and save those. Or you can do something fun like a little book that I found, I think, at the Target dollar spot. And it's just got a place where you put in one page that's got all kinds of information, and I use stamps on it. And the rest of the pages are all pictures of an event that we did over the summer. You can take little notebooks, and this has just got paper and stamps that I used to write up information about some of the things that my family and I do. So it doesn't have to be a scrapbook of pictures, though I did add a few in there, but you can have just a scrapbook full of words. So when you're trying to figure out what to put in your scrapbook, you don't have to spend a lot of money on things. You can use things that you find around the house. You can use office supplies like labels. And then I have a bunch of things that I saved to stick in my scrapbooks. I got a card that had a butterfly that I pulled off. That's a gift tag from an item I purchased. There's packaging that comes with items, but you can go and get paint chips and use those. You can use different envelopes from fun colored materials that you get in the mail. Sometimes I use things from ads. You can even just cut off part of a color that you like off of some kind of circular you get in the mail. You can also go through some of your old mail if you like, and just cut out things that you like. So if you were 13, you could cut out the 13. I have some recycled music from my mail. You can go and pull out different kinds of numbers off of things that you receive. You can get mail that someone has sent to you and you want to save some of the different pictures off of the mail that you get. And if you get any catalogs for some kind of organization that you're a part of, you can always go through and find some kind of picture in that you can use in your scrapbooks too. So that's a big part of what you can do with scrapbooking. You can kind of use anything you have and put it together in a kind of fun, artistic way. But you can also go through and create stories about yourself. You can tell family stories like Aunt Beth in the book did. Or one of the things you might want to do right now is record what your life is like during the COVID pandemic. So you can talk about what has changed for you, what's changed for your family, what are you doing for school this year? How has your routine changed? Are you going to activities like you used to, or are you doing things on Zoom a lot? Have your travel plans changed? So you can save receipts and news reports and pictures and items that show how your life is different right now. Some families, like mine, take lots of pictures. And so I don't always print all of those out to go in a scrapbook these days. But you can still go on your phone and download apps that allow you to create little scrapbooks of your photos that are on your phone. And then some people don't even take pictures a lot, but they have family stories they want to save. So you can download an app like the StoryCorps app and go and record a story that a family member is telling you. All you have to do is have that app, sit down with the person you want to hear a story from, listen to them, and then you can save that story for yourself, or you can share it with the world. So there's lots of different ways of saving all those different stories that are out there all over the place. And Casey's going to talk to you a little bit more now about some of the different things that we've got at TSLA that can help you come up with some ideas for stories.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks, Miss Kate. That was great. I definitely love scrapbooking, especially now since we're spending so much time with our families. This is a great time to collect all those family stories, those family histories, and make family memories too. So I'm excited to see, hopefully all of our friends at home will make some scrapbooks and kind of explore both this history and art that we've got going on. For anyone, parents or kids, we've got a lot of really great at-home learning opportunities because we know you miss us and we miss you. So please come check us out online. I've provided both our TSLA website, our URL to education materials, as well as our Facebook and Instagram. Miss Kate had a great idea with documenting all the things that are going on right now in the COVID-19 crisis. And if you've got stories to share, if you've got scrapbooks that you make on this or letters or anything, we want to hear them. So feel free to tell us, both kids and adults. On our education page, we've got a really great activity that shows documenting pandemics. So it's a great way to compare what's happening now to pandemics in the past. And you can write us a letter, or you can write a letter to someone in your family. And if you want to share it with us, there's a way to do that all online through a Google form. If you're doing this together as a family and you want to share what's happening and have those memories shared with us and with generations of Tennesseans to come, we will gladly take anything you want to provide. All you have to do is go to our Documenting COVID-19 Recording Experience, and you can write us anything that you want. You could tell us there's graphic organizers to help you get started with some questions, and that's going to be shared through a Google Doc. And it's super easy. If you've got any questions, you can definitely reach out to us. And there's lots of fun things to do at home as well. We've got lots of really fun breakout games, digital breakout games that you can do with your family or by yourself. We've got all sorts of resources, parents, for pre-K through high school. If you liked our historical document that we shared with you today, we've got thousands on our virtual archive, so please check that out. But for now, on behalf of Kate and I, we just want to thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Hopefully you learned some fun things about scrapbooking and history and memory making, and we can't wait to see you again. Thank you very much.
Thank
Bye,
you.
y'all.
Bye.